This is an emergency podcast, you guys. It is. This is an emergency podcast.
What happened, Ben?
Great things happened yesterday. Great things. And I do want to start this episode off, this emergency podcast off, by saying that it is official. The NFL transfer portal for Ben is officially closed. And I just have one thing to say.
What's that?
I'm not leaving.
Not leaving?
I'm not fucking leaving. I'm not leaving. The one thing that Ryan Pace could have done last night to keep my fan base locked in for at least another 4 years, he did.
Yep.
He did. We got Justin Fields. And I'm very excited about that.
That's like getting Justin Fields at 11 was insane.
No, this was arguably the second best. Up until like 3 months ago, he was the second best quarterback in the draft. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, there was reports on something about I saw something that said that he has like epilepsy or something, and people were like freaking out, but it never became like a thing in games or anything.
Right.
But
thank goodness it didn't
he
impact
fell
any of
all
his
the way
stats.
to 11 because it was always the pre-draft mock drafts. He was always Lawrence 1, Fields 2.
Especially after the season ended.
Right, and it was because he balled out in those games and injured. Like, he played injured, and he beat Clemson.
Right.
Like, that in and of
he
itself.
He spanked Clemson.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about this, the college football playoff, not last year. We don't count 2020.
Right.
We don't talk about 2020 for anything.
No.
But the 2021 we can talk about. You know, we're going to ignore Justin Fields' stats last year because Ohio State only played 8 games. We don't talk about the COVID-shortened season, and I'm pretty sure they should have played more games, but they couldn't because of COVID issues, basically. But to do what he did against Clemson in the semifinal proved that they did belong to be there, and I can't believe that I'm actually arguing on behalf of Ohio State right now. But when you go up against Trevor Lawrence and you make him look like crap, Justin Fields threw 6 touchdowns against Clemson in that semifinal. Yeah, everyone's going to say, oh, but Bama. I'm like, it's Alabama. What do you want him to do? Everyone gets beat by Bama. Clemson with Trevor Lawrence has lost to Alabama in the playoff before.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence has lost 2 games in his entire career.
Yep.
One of them was to Burrow. The other one was to Justin Fields.
Right. Justin Fields. And look how good Joe Burrow is in the NFL.
He will be good. I won't say that he was. I mean, he was pretty good. If he gets O-line, which I don't know. It's hard to dang the Bengals for taking Jamar Chase when you can have that LSU connection. But
I really thought they were going to go Sewell. But I'm happy that the Lions botched that pick and took him because I really thought that they were going to take Devonta Smith, which I'm surprised Devonta Smith fell to 10.
Yeah.
But I will say kudos to Howie Roseman for not royally screwing the pooch this year, for whiffing as bad as he did on Justin Jefferson this past year. I'm glad he finally, grew a brain over the course of 2020. Maybe that's the best thing that happened in 2020. Howie Roseman got a functioning brain.
Yeah,
because he made a good trade up and got a great wide receiver.
He passed on Metcalf in 2019. Passed on Justin Jefferson last year. This year he's like not this time. And
good on the Eagles front office for getting the wide receiver that Carson Wentz always deserved.
Yeah,
good on them for that.
Let's go back and talk about the pre-draft news.
Okay.
And something that me and you are very excited about with the prospect of the reigning MVP of last year, Aaron Rodgers, is potentially on his way out of Green Bay. Like, it started. The news actually broke from
a few hours
radio
before the draft.
Yeah, it was a local radio guy. His name's Paul Allen in Minnesota, and everyone in Green Bay, the writers on Twitter, were like, "No, this guy's false. He's BS." But Paul Allen, he doesn't break news. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't try to get any headlines. He just says what he's heard. He's not trying to get any, clout. He doesn't need that. He's not that guy. And people were going crazy. And then all of a sudden, Shefty comes out and tweets out the famous, the reigning MVP, has
'Cause he
told
wants
multiple
out.
people within the Packers organization he wants out. And it was like, screenshot, send to all my Packer friends and say, what's going on here? And they are not happy, to say the least.
To speak to that, watching the draft live, they were talking about how when the Packers were on the clock, I guess the team president or vice president and the general manager flew out to Aaron Rodgers' house to try to convince him.
And the coach.
And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I would have been hearing him out. Like I would have been like talking with him. And if I had the draft on the background, this franchise is so hell bent on screwing this man over. They don't deserve him. First off, I'll say that right now. The Packers don't deserve Aaron Rodgers.
And Packers fans will tell you that too. Like
Yeah.
I say, everyone's
their front office can't do anything right. And then to have everything that happened yesterday and to still use a first-round draft pick on a defensive player, I would have if I was Aaron Rodgers, I would have said, get the hell out of my house. Get the hell out of my house, and you better find a trade partner by the time your plane lands in Green Bay.
I saw that meme. I think I sent it to you, but I don't know if you watched it. It was,
I don't think I saw it yet.
Yeah, it was the guy. It was Packers take a cornerback at 29, and then it's that one guy that's like shaking his head. He's like, I'm not going to be here.
Right? Like, have fun with Jordan Love as your quarterback next season.
Yeah. I wouldn't underestimate Jordan Love, but
here's a hot take.
He's no Aaron Rodgers. Let's hear it.
Here's a hot take. When they trade Aaron Rodgers, because I don't think Aaron Rodgers will show up to camp, and I hope he doesn't. I hope he forces their hand and because Aaron Rodgers doesn't need the Packers as much as the Packers need Aaron Rodgers. The Packers are going to go from having the best quarterback in the division to the worst after that trade is done. 100%. They will be a 6-win team if they're lucky, because Aaron Rodgers is a guaranteed 4 or 5 extra wins.
Yeah,
he is
for sure. Their defense is still decent, and they did draft a first-round corner, but their defense isn't better than the Bears. It could be better than the Vikings, but the Vikings are getting a bunch of players back, so it could be the second best. But their offense,
it's not as much of an exodus in Minnesota as it was last year. So you've got these guys that have already played a full year together, and they weren't bad at all. And you're gonna have year 2 here. Mike Zimmer, head coach, still defensive guy.
And
there's the Lions biting people's kneecaps off.
Lions are just an interesting. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. I mean,
I don't know what Dan Campbell shouldn't be a head coach. I'm sorry.
Like, Sewell is very good, but offensive line was not on their need list. But
no,
if solidifying an offensive line, I know, and you know, it's very important.
It is.
And I guess if they needed a left tackle, I thought they had a left tackle, but I guess maybe I'm wrong. But they don't have anyone to throw to.
No, you're absolutely right. They don't. I for sure thought they were going to go wide receiver, because there still were a lot of great wide receivers on the board.
Yeah, they had Smith right there.
You had 3 guys that all went after the Lions picked, and it was Devonta Smith, Heisman Trophy winner. You had Kadarius Toney from Florida, who went to the New York Football Giants at 20. Thank you, New York New York Giants fans. Wow. Yeah. Get one NFL team or don't have any. Don't have 2. That's stupid. But thank you. I won't bash on you anymore.
Be grateful.
And then Rashad Bateman at 27 to Baltimore.
Yeah.
So the Lions messed up.
I don't know if they met. Like, Penny Sewell's going to be a stud.
He is. He's going to be a great.
He's 19, I think. And he's like, how big is he? Mm-hmm. He's big. He's a big dude. And he's 19. He's going to be a stud.
I guess kind of with Sewell, like talking about that. I was surprised the Cincinnati Bengals did not take him.
Yeah.
After the sack percentage that Joe Burrow had last year, the torn ACL, protect the guy. He's your franchise quarterback.
Yeah. And I think the board fell pretty favorable to them, where they're going to probably be able to get an offensive lineman round 2.
Oh, they'd be stupid if they don't.
Because the tackles that went
I think tackle-wise, it's Sewell,
Slater, Leatherwood,
yep,
Darisaw, and that's it. There was only 4. So I don't know who the rest are, because I only knew the top few, but I heard it's a deep class, according to the experts. I'm not an expert.
The experts don't know anything.
No.
I for one, if they were going to take anyone but Sewell, I'm glad it was Jamar Chase, getting Joe Burrow's guy from college. I
Yeah.
think they're going to see some great results with that. As far as the Bears go,
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody, including myself, thought we were going to go offensive tackle here.
Yep.
I'm great with. I love the draft pick. I love what we did. I actually tweeted as soon as the Giants were on the clock at Ryan Pace, get on the damn phone.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
good
I'm
thing he
sitting
listened
there.
to you.
I guess he saw my tweet because like 30 seconds later it said trade. I'm like, oh my God, is it happening? And then the Bears went on the clock and I'm like, this is going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be Mac Jones, who I absolutely do not want, or it's going to be Justin Fields. And I did not know which way it was going to go because Nagy and I don't know if Pace was at both. I know Pace was at Mac Jones's pro day, but Nagy was at both. And there was just a feeling in my gut that he was going to take Mac Jones, and I didn't want it. Mac Jones just would have been literally a carbon copy of what we already have in Nick Foles and Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we switched it up and got some quarterback diversity, at least in skills there.
Yeah.
Justin Fields is a great dual threat option.
Yeah. And he's very raw. So
yeah,
I think the benefit of having Dalton and or Foles, I feel like you can sit Fields for a while.
Right.
And in worst case, you get off to a bad start in the offense, and then you put Fields in like week 3 or 4.
Right.
Or best case, he comes out shining in camp, and then he's the starter. But if I were you guys, I wouldn't want Fields starting right away.
I don't think he's going to.
Yeah.
I've seen our opponents this year. This is going to be a very tough season.
Yeah.
We play a lot of very, very good teams. So it's all going to come down to what the schedule itself looks like when they do put that out. I think we're going to see one of those things just because, this is the last draft bearing a 2018 turnaround that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy will get. I'm fairly confident in saying that. I think we're going to see one of those things. Nick Foles or Dalton. It's probably going to be Dalton. He's going to be named the week 1 starter. But that first mistake, similar to Trubisky in Atlanta, the first mistake, the first chance Matt Nagy has to pull him, he's going to. Because Justin Fields has to be the savior for Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace.
Oh, 100%. And that's probably why they gave up. They gave up a first round and was it a 5th round this year? First and a 5th?
Yeah, we traded 20, and it was either 4th or 5th. And then I think next year we gave up a first rounder and a 3rd round pick.
Yep.
Which I'm good with. I'm 1,000% okay with not having a first round pick next year if Justin Fields is anything what he was at Ohio State.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people would, and I think the Giants knew that. Giants fairly confident in. I mean, can you imagine if Daniel Jones just sucks this year, and they're like, "Damn, we could have had Mac Jones or Justin Fields at that spot."
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm not looking forward to playing the Bears this year, just because the Bears always kick our ass with mobile quarterbacks, and now they have one of the fastest quarterbacks in the NFL now in Justin Fields, and he's got an arm. If they can just get his consistency up, he's got great leadership. I know you haven't watched it, but QB1, it's very good.
I will be watching that this week.
Yeah, I would. It's fun. It goes through his high school days. I think he got hurt during it, but I forgot.
Okay.
It's very good. Highly recommend to all the Bears fans to give QB1. I think it's season 2 with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Give that a watch.
It's funny that you bring up that, like we're talking about this dual threat option that he is. And you take a look at the NFL right now, and you look at all the big name quarterbacks. You look at all these stud quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. They all have one thing in common. It's the fact that these guys can pass the ball and they can beat you with their legs. And I think of the quarterbacks that were taken, I think Justin Fields fits that mold the best. I know that Trevor Lawrence is Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
But I think Justin Fields at least fits the mold of the quarterback that is thriving in the league right now. A little bit better.
Yeah, I think those top 4 guys really are very good with their legs and they can throw. I
Right.
think
And Justin Fields
Lawrence.
is walking into a better situation than Lawrence easily.
Yeah,
The
probably. He's got
Jaguars
a
are
way better
probably
defense.
Jags are probably a draft or two away from really hitting it in the AFC South.
Yeah.
The Justin Fields thing, this could be accelerated if the Packers do end up trading Aaron Rodgers. Once that
That's
happens,
true.
this is a two-team division then.
Yep.
Right
I
now, we're
agree.
looking at a 3-team division, but if Rodgers is gone, it's 2 teams.
Yeah.
And I believe that the Bears and Vikings are good enough to both make the playoffs right now, just
Yeah.
after the first day of the draft this upcoming season.
Well, yeah, I think it's going to be if the Packers trade Rodgers, they're going to be not in contention anymore.
No, they're gonna
And
they'll finish third, maybe.
yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Well, maybe. I don't know. The Lions could with Jared Goff. He went to the
He's
Super
not
Bowl a few
bad.
years ago.
Yeah, he had a
You
great team
can win
around
with
him.
him, but you also need somebody like I literally cannot name one wide receiver on the Lions right now. I don't think there is one.
Can't either. I literally don't know anyone because Marvin
TJ
Jones is
Hawkinson,
gone.
he's still on the team. That's good.
Oh, tight end doesn't
Tight
count.
end.
Doesn't
Yeah,
count.
That's true. They got that Swift guy,
Running back doesn't count.
Yep. Oh shoot. Well,
I don't know any wide receivers on the Lions.
They really don't have any wide receivers.
No.
Just convert Adrian Peterson to a wide receiver.
Yeah, they should just do that.
Still have it. I think they have.
Maybe. Can we also can I debunk the Ohio State quarterback?
Yeah, let's hear it because
before yesterday, I was a big believer in the Ohio State quarterback stereotype. Over the last 12 hours, I have had to do a complete 180 on that, and I have done some research on it.
Let's hear it.
So I've taken a look at all the starting quarterbacks for the Buckeyes dating all the way back to 2011. You've got Braxton Miller, you've got JT Barrett, Cardale Jones, Dwayne Haskins Jr., and now Justin Fields. Man, Braxton Miller started this off. I mean, there's no denying it. The dude, he went 3 full seasons as the starter. He had over 5,000 yards, 52 touchdowns, 17 picks, 146.7 passer ratings in his career with the Buckeyes. JT Barrett did take over in 2015. I think Miller got hurt. But Miller was drafted in the 3rd round, and not even as a quarterback. I believe he was drafted as a wide receiver. Oh, wow. Okay, you skip to the next quarterback. You got JT Barrett. JT Barrett, he was the best statistic quarterback that Ohio State had, but that's because the dude had basically 4 full years. He threw over 9,000 yards, 104 TDs, 30 picks, but only a 152 passer rating. So just slightly better than Miller. And he still went undrafted. Like, these guys were great Buckeyes quarterbacks, but none of these are first-round guys yet. Cardale Jones, obviously, he stepped in a great situation. I think he was the 3rd-string quarterback the year they won the championship over Bama. But that team did have Ezekiel Elliott. Like, that was a super team Ohio State had. That was just a great team.
Yeah, they had other people that were like, how did they have all those guys? I forgot. Anyways, continue.
But, yeah, just over 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, 7 picks. Not a lot of stats, really, and a 147 pass rating. He was drafted in the 4th round in 16 by the Bills. Then this is where things get a little bit more comparative, and I believe this is the guy that really starts the stereotype. It's Dwayne Haskins Jr., just because he had 2 seasons with Ohio State, and the dude just came out and beat the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
He had over 5,000 yards, 54 touchdowns, only 9 picks, and a 174 passer rating. But his breakout season was in 18 when he threw almost 5,000 yards itself. He had 50 touchdowns that year. So you take it all into perspective. Yeah. And he was drafted in the 1st round by the then Redskins in 19.
Yep.
And a lot of people probably saw him going 4 because I think the Giants picked it 4 that year, right? And they took Daniel Jones.
Yeah. I thought that Dwayne Haskins, didn't he go before? I thought he was.
No, because the Giants picked before the Redskins that year.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, everybody thought it was going to be Haskins, but they took Daniel Jones.
Okay.
So they saw something. I don't know.
Who knows?
Then we move over to – then we get to the present. We get to Justin Fields. This guy originally committed to Georgia. He played 8 games with Georgia. He had 2 seasons with Ohio State. I don't want to say full seasons because the COVID year. That I don't want to count that.
Yeah.
2 seasons with the Buckeyes. This was after Haskins was gone, after Burrow had transferred to LSU. And in just the short amount of time that he did have, he almost had just as many passing yards as Dwayne Haskins. I think doing some quick math, he had 23 less yards.
Jeez.
Yeah. He had
That's
just
crazy.
almost 5,500, 63 touchdowns. So 9 more touchdowns, 9 interceptions, same amount. And the passer rating, Haskins had 174. Fields has the best passer rating of all these Ohio State quarterbacks at 179.
Oh, jeez.
He was drafted in the first round, obviously 11 by the Bears.
I
Well,
didn't hear
like
that.
we talked about earlier, like this guy up until very recently was supposed to be the number 2 pick overall.
Yep.
None of these other Ohio State guys were going to go in the top 2.
No.
None of them. And everyone's going to say, to debunk this stereotype, I think you look at the personalities of these guys. Because Dwayne Haskins isn't a bad football guy. He's just a bad character guy. And it's not that I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm just saying that he and Justin Fields are complete opposite ends of the spectrum of character.
Yeah.
Because you have all these stories that came about Haskins, how he didn't show up ready to go, how a lot of people in the locker room questioned his commitment to the team or whatever. And eventually he did get cut. But meanwhile, in the same year, you have Justin Fields leading the entire charge for the Big Ten to play football last year.
Yeah.
Like he took up the mantle himself. He could have sat out. He could have sat out last year and been a top 10 pick still.
Yep, I think he would have been. They might have even gone higher.
But this
He would've
is a
sat out.
football guy. He wanted to play,
Yep.
and he just came out and kicked everybody's ass.
He did. Yeah, the Bears got a good one, man. I think I wanted him, and I know that the Vikings. I've heard that the Vikings tried to trade up, but they didn't want to give up such capital because I think that they know that we can win games with Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
They know that the contract is steep, but the contract is fully guaranteed for the next 2 years. So Justin Fields wouldn't play for 2 years. So are you really going to give up? We probably would have had to give up a first round pick next year. I think they just thought
Came down to the
are we
price
really
tag.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we knew that the Bears were going to come up and get him, and we're like, oh, crap. Who knows? But, the quarterbacks are such a tough thing to evaluate. Like you said, like Dwayne Haskins kicked ass in college, and then he was maybe the worst quarterback besides maybe Josh Rosen. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so hard to predict, man, but it's so good to get hyped about it. And I hyped for you guys, and I think that you got a good one. And unfortunately for us, but
well, I did say if Fields made it past the Cowboys at 10, which ended up being the Eagles, if Fields was still there and it got to a double-digit draft pick, if you're Ryan Pace, you're getting on the phone in order. You're getting on the phone with Philly, New York. I think it was actually New York, Philly, and Dallas. No, not Dallas. LA, the Chargers. Because if Fields made it to you guys, like you guys, New England and Washington all picked before us, like he wasn't going to get to us at 20. So you had to get on the phone with those 3 teams in order and start working on something.
Yeah,
and they
did.
did.
We wouldn't have traded with you guys.
No.
I don't think, unless you gave up like everything.
Also, like, how weird was it to see the Eagles and Cowboys make a trade last night?
That was weird. And they didn't even give up much.
No, they didn't.
Like, it almost sounded like the Eagles got on the phone with the Cowboys and like, hey, do you want to screw over the Giants together? And they're like, oh my God, I do.
Dude.
I swear
it was
to God.
just everyone. This entire division just took a dump on the Giants, like, since January.
I mean, I know that they were the ones that won the Super Bowl most recently, both times. But I feel kind of bad. Like, the Giants are the lesser of evils in that division. Like, they beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. I think they have the hearts of most people in the nation. Everyone hates the Cowboys. Yeah. Anyone that's played against the Eagles hates the Eagles. It's just a thing. Yeah. And it's funny to see the two evils go against the what I think is the good part of the division. I like the Washington football team too.
Big football team guy.
Yeah, I'm a really big football team guy. I was talking to my dad yesterday. I'm like, I think they should keep the name. What other team in any sport has the name of the sport as their team name?
Right.
And it's
And they've
never going
already
to be
sold all this
offensive.
merchandise. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Never going
very
to be
true.
offensive. So you don't have anything to worry about.
No, you really don't.
But yeah.
Can we also talk about how Mac Jones just looks like he should be the quarterback of the New England Patriots?
Dude, he literally walked down like he was in the WWE. And they, like, you know that meme with Belichick where it's like, oh, wait a minute. They're going to sync those up somehow.
Oh,
It's
someone's
going to
going to
happen.
do it.
I
Will
should
do it.
do it. It's so funny.
Have you seen all the pictures of him smoking the cigar without a shirt on in the locker room next to the Tom Brady no shirt draft combine picture?
It's like, it all makes sense now. It's like, oh my God. He is the epitome of dad bod. Holy crap.
Dude, now he is in New England. Watch him actually be the next Tom Brady, though. Like, it all comes down to systems.
It really does. I mean, he's in a good spot because he doesn't have to start right away, but he can.
And the Patriots spent all this money in free agency already.
Yeah, and they're gonna have a few. Like, I don't know about their wide receivers. I don't really think that they get Nelson Aguilar, but I like their tight end situation. So,
do you have a surprise? Is there anyone that did not go in round one that you're surprised by?
That linebacker, the JOK guy. I forgot I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Is it the guy from Notre Dame?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, if that's who it is, I think I know who you're talking about. I'm surprised he didn't go. I thought he was going in the top 20.
Yeah, I honestly think he's going to go to the Jags. I'm going to go back to the Jags. Like, so many college connections, and I don't know if it seems like a trend now all of a sudden. The Burrow got Chase, Tua got Waddle, and then Trevor Lawrence gets drafted by the Jags, and then they draft the running back of
running
Clemson.
back.
I'm like, that's insane. Especially, I didn't think that running back was a position of need for them. I don't.
No, they have James Robinson. James Robinson broke out last year.
Yeah,
unless they're going to trade him to move up. I don't know what they're going to do.
I mean, it is a thing in the NFL to have a 1-2 punch, and we saw it work with Cleveland last year at running back. They're very different backs. One's power, one's elusive, more like. I mean, it kind of is a similar situation of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, where one can just pound you and the other one can beat you with speed and elusiveness, and especially with the Lawrence connection, that could work. But I felt like they needed more than I felt like they could have actually gotten him in round 2 at the very top. I didn't think anyone else would have taken him. What is wrong with me?
No, you're fine. It's early. It's not even 10 a.m. and we're doing this.
Yeah, I know.
It's not even 9 a.m. where Brandon is.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that.
Speaking about the Browns, though, holy shit, did they get better? Like Greg Newsome, great pick. They needed a DB, great pick. And at first I was surprised they didn't go linebacker, but then I remembered that they signed Jadeveon Clowney. Yeah. So now you've got Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett that you got to plan for with your offensive line. Like, those guys are going to wreck some offensive lines. They're going to win a lot of ball games.
Yeah, they're going to be dangerous. That division's going to be tough to win.
It's going to be very tough.
Like, I think the Ravens got better too.
Rashad Bateman was the receiver that Lamar Jackson needed.
Yeah, I thought that that was great. I mean, I'm a pretty – I don't watch college too often, but I know I've heard like Adam Thielen works out with Bateman.
And he's right in your backyard too.
Yeah, Bateman's gopher. So I know that they're going to get a good one, and that's a number 1 target right there. And then they win on what did they take with the 31st pick? They took
31st.
What did they take?
Well, I got the.
Yeah, I got it too, and I didn't even.
I think they took. They went defense. They took Jason Owe from Penn State.
Okay. Well,
which was surprising because he did not have a sack all last year. Like, he's an edge rusher. What kind of edge rusher can't get a sack? At least half a sack.
I'm going to steal the take of Booger McFarland, unfortunately. Daniil Hunter had like a sack and a half during his last year in college or something like that.
And now he's a stud.
Yeah, he's a stud. So sacks aren't everything, and I think they know that. It's more because you can't. This is exactly what, unfortunately, Booger said. He said you can't teach size. Like, he's got a point. You can't teach that.
Absolutely. No.
But yeah, so I want to talk about what the Vikings did
Okay.
and like my night and the stress. So my day went like this. I was super happy that Aaron Rodgers was leaving the NFC North, as were you. And I think a lot of people in the NFC North, except for 1/4. I think 1/4 of the NFC North wasn't too happy.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. I haven't
Depending on
asked
who
him.
you ask.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was kind of excited that Fields was falling. I didn't want Mac Jones because Mac Jones is kind of the same as Kirk Cousins. It's kind of like the same stature. I didn't really
That'd have
see
been
a
like
point.
giving us Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, and Mac Jones.
Right.
All three the same guy.
Yeah. And I think you felt the same way. And then
Yep.
Right when I went and saw that the Lions didn't pick a quarterback, and I'm like, okay, they must believe in Jared Goff. You know, it is what it is. They need to protect him.
It wouldn't.
And then the Panthers, they picked J.C. Horn.
That was a great pick.
Like, it was a good pick. And I was like, okay, they're going to beef up their defense. They believe in Sam Darnold. Can get behind that. And then the Broncos come up, and I'm like, okay, this is the first year of the GM. He's going to take cornerback, Patrick Surtain, instead of Justin Fields. And I was thinking, maybe
now they have Surtain and Kyle Fuller.
Yeah, that's a good duo right there. Their defense is going to be dangerous, but like
Fangio.
Are they planning on getting Rodgers?
They did just make the move for Teddy Bridgewater too.
They did. They do have.
They could
Teddy.
flip him.
You can win games with Teddy, but
if you have an opportunity to get Aaron Rodgers, you owe it to your fans. You owe it to the organization. Go get him. That's what the Bucs did with Tom Brady.
Aaron Rodgers on the Broncos.
Could you imagine Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes at least twice a year?
That's
in Mile High.
That's television gold. Like I am all for that. Get him out of our division. Get him out of
Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football right there.
If we have to play Aaron Rodgers once in the Super Bowl, that's fine. Instead of twice a year, I just hope
the Chiefs can beat him in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Although I guess that's a great question. Who would you rather play in a Super Bowl? Would you rather play an Aaron Rodgers Broncos or Patrick Mahomes Chiefs? Keep in mind it will be on a neutral playing field.
Yeah, neutral playing field. I'd probably take Rodgers and the Broncos.
I think I would too.
Just because the Chiefs are that good and they've beefed up their offensive line. Like they've completely revamped it. I think it's going to be a lot better. Orlando Brown.
Patrick Mahomes somehow just throws it. Like he just tosses it in the air. It's like a magnet. Lands in like Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill's hands.
Did you see that incompletion during the Super Bowl where he just like flies like Superman?
Yeah.
That made it in the top one. Incompletion made the top one. Only Patrick Mahomes. I swear, if any other quarterback did the exact same, I mean, that's tough to ask. No other quarterback probably could do that. But I'm saying hypothetically, if any other quarterback, if Phillip Rivers somehow managed to like jump, fly, and throw incompletion, no one would remember it. But it was during the Super Bowl and it was Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
So I feel like the Broncos are. I have this gut feeling they're going to get Aaron Rodgers. I don't know why.
I hope they do.
But, I mean, me too. But Gutekunst said that they're not going to trade Aaron Rodgers. That's famous. I mean, GMs have to say that. They're not going to say, oh, yeah, we're going to trade him. We just don't know who yet. Like
that's why guys like Kyle Shanahan, is Jimmy G still going to manage your team? I can't guarantee anybody on this team is still going to be alive on Sunday.
That's the best.
Or Ryan Pace. We're committed to Mike Glennon as our quarterback, drafts Mitch Trubisky. Andy Dalton is our starter, drafts Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Can't talk about a guy that's not on your roster yet.
Our GM has famously said we're not trading Percy Harvin. He gets traded like a couple weeks later. Stephon Diggs, the same exact thing. He gets traded like a month later. So it's like all these GMs know BS. They're not going to come out and say, has anyone ever said, yeah, we're going to trade this guy? It's going to happen. We just don't know who yet. It's like,
no. If you have to ask, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah. So
I was surprised that Rondale Moore didn't go, at least in the late first round. The stud from Purdue. I know there was an injury a couple years ago. I know he came back this season. Didn't put up the greatest numbers, but I think he's still a great talent.
Yeah.
I think he'll go early second round now, but it did surprise me.
This is going to be
especially some of these late names that did pop into the first round that nobody was talking about.
Right.
Like Peyton Turner from the Saints. I haven't seen that.
Turner.
I didn't even know he was a prospect. And that's not a knock on him. It's just nobody was talking about him.
Yeah, and there was another surprise late in the draft where I'm like, who the heck?
It was the Tryon for the Bucks. I'm like, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
Again, not a knock. It's just nobody was talking about him.
Eric Stokes. I had no idea who that was. And that was the corner that the Packers took. No idea who that was.
I knew he was going to be around. I just figured he wasn't going to go till mid-second round.
Yeah.
I didn't think the Packers would be stupid enough to refuse to go offensive player again, but here we are.
Yeah. And so during the draft, and then you guys took Justin. When I saw the trade was made at 11, I knew Justin Fields was gone. I'm like, it's 100% Fields. You wouldn't trade up to go get Mac Jones, I don't think. I think you trade up to go get the guy that could be better. Like Mac Jones could be better.
Yeah.
Mac Jones has a lower ceiling. I think he has a higher floor than Justin Fields, but Justin Fields has a way higher ceiling than Mac Jones ever will. So once you guys did that, I'm like, all right, this is what's going to happen. Bears going to take Justin Fields, and then I don't know who the Cowboys are going to take, but it's not going to be offensive line. 13, the Chargers are taking Rashawn Slater because he's the next best tackle, and the Vikings are going to trade back. I thought they were going to trade back with the Washington football team so that they could jump New England, and then they take Mac Jones. But no, New England just takes Mac Jones at 15.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, we're good.
I think we all kind of knew that. We all kind of expected that. We all looked at Mac Jones coming into this draft. Even when the season ended, we're like, this dude's going to be the quarterback of the Patriots. He just looks like he's going to.
Yeah. And then the board kept falling because the other guy I liked. So the Jets trade up with us. They give us 2/3, and then we give them back like a late 4th, and we swap first. So that was like 9 picks to go down. We get 2/3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh, I swear, we're going to get like a defensive player. And it's never hurt to get more defensive players, but
defense wins championships.
We signed Patrick Peterson. I always forget that guy's name. We got 2 new defensive tackles. We got Danielle Hunter coming back, Anthony Barr, Kendricks. We don't need any. I mean, we need more defensive players. We always do, but first round, we need offensive line. We got rid of our left tackle.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge position to need. So I was hoping we'd get Elijah Vera Tucker as well. But then the Jets trade up and give us 2/3, and we get him. And they get him. So I'm like, oh, that sucks. The only other person I wanted in the draft was Christian Darrisaw. And he was still on the board, but I thought he would have been gone. I thought that the Raiders were going to take him. But the Raiders, they always break the draft board. They always go against the grain.
I thought the Dolphins would even maybe do it, but no.
Yeah. So like it was right in a row. It was the Raiders, they didn't take him. And then the Dolphins, I thought they would take him. No. Football team, they didn't need offensive line, but they could have gone it. Giants didn't need offensive line. But then you have the Colts, who needed offensive line, and the Titans, who could have used offensive line. Went edge with Kwity Paye to the Colts, then corner to the Titans. And I'm so happy that Caleb Farley went to the Titans because I would have had a gut feeling that Zimmer would have been like, let's go get our guy, Caleb Farley.
Yep.
And then we would have been screwed on the offensive line. I'm very happy that the Vikings got Christian Darrisaw.
Yeah.
He didn't allow a sack last year. He's a stud. He's 6'5", like 320, and he can move. Like, put him in a left tackle. Now let's go get a guard.
Yeah. So looking ahead to tonight to round 2, is that what you're hoping, a guard?
I'm hoping a guard. I think we're going to trade up. We have an insane amount of draft capital to do it. We have 4 third-round picks and 3 fourth-round picks.
Just put a package together.
And they basically, like, as much as you can say as a coach and a GM, they're basically like, we have enough capital to get who we want.
Yeah.
We're going to, if we can trade up to the second, we're going to do it. And we have an early third, because we have the Jets third round, which is, I think, 62 or something. 62. That's Waterboy. Anyway, yeah, I'm hoping for a guard.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
If you have evaluated one of the quarterbacks that are going to go tonight, and Mond or what is it, Smith? Is that something like that? I don't know. If you evaluate one of these quarterbacks is going to be able to back up Kirk and play at a high level eventually for your team, trade up, go get him.
Yeah.
Even if it sacrifices a guard spot, I think you can still establish guard in the third round.
Yeah, you can.
And we have
the offensive
plenty
line
of
is
third
deep
round.
this year.
Yeah, and we need offensive line.
Yeah.
Badly. I mean, we got a key piece of this yesterday.
Yeah,
and I'm happy that they're establishing it. And we have three pretty solid guys. And there's we got Bradbury in the center, and we have Brian O'Neill, right tackle. Ezra Cleveland, he can play guard. I think he needs to beef up a bit because he was drafted as a tackle.
Yeah.
Now that we know we have both of our tackles, Cleveland is going to probably put on some weight, beef up, hopefully.
Slide over.
Yeah, and we don't have our right guard, we traded a 6th-round pick with Cardinals. He should be depth, hopefully, or whatever, but we need a guard tonight. And if we don't, I'll be a little upset. If we go, like, all defense, and just be like, oh, classic. But, yeah.
Okay.
How many picks do the Bears have tonight? Just
tonight we've got, because we're just doing round 2 tonight, correct?
I think it's 2 and 3.
I know we have 1 pick in round 2. I don't know if we traded the 3rd round pick. I'm looking right now. Okay, so we've got 2 picks tonight. We've got 1 second, 1 third. Taking a look at what we need, I would feel very comfortable. I know who I want. I want at the 52nd pick, I want Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. I love Notre Dame offensive linemen. I think that's O-line. That's like offensive tackle university, right? Not even that. Pretty much offensive line university.
Yeah.
I don't even think there could be an argument there, but I think Notre Dame just always produces a lot of great offensive linemen. I love what we have going on in the middle. I love Cody Whitehair, James Daniels at the guard positions, and then Sam Mustipher at the center position. He really came into his own this past year. Charles Leno Jr., the level of play has just gone down since 2018. I wouldn't mind replacing him. I know he's still here for a little while. Jermaine Afidi, he just came back on a 1-year deal again, so he's going to stay at right tackle. Or if we wanted to move him over to left, I'd be okay with that too, but I think he traditionally has always played right side. Yeah. Bringing in Liam Eichenberg, I think, is the move to slide him in at left tackle. You know, he did great last season. I wrote a whole article on it. This was a few months ago. He had this insane streak of not allowing a sack. I think he only has allowed maybe 1 or 2 sacks his entire Notre Dame career, like 4 years.
Okay.
That's who I want at 52. I would be okay with Eichenberg or whoever the best DB on the board is if Eichenberg is selected, just because, losing Kyle Fuller, it sucks.
Yeah.
It does. It really sucks. Looking at it in retrospect, like there was no way to tell Fields was going to fall like he did.
Yeah.
So when we just let him go to sign Andy Dalton, we just accepted the fact that we were going to suck this year.
Mm-hmm.
So now I know. I even got some text last night like, you know what really sucks about this moment? And I go, no, like what's going on? I'm living my best life. Like this is the happiest I've been as a Bears fan since we went 12-4. And they're like, we basically let Kyle Fuller go just so we could sign a backup Andy Dalton. I said, thank you. You just ruined my night. But hey, hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah, you can't go to the past. I mean, the Vikings. I have the same feeling about the Vikings. Like we could have had a 2nd-round pick if you just didn't go and trade for Yannick Ngakoue for 5. Or no, it was like 4 games,
and then traded him away again.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, those 4 games, that he was with us, he led the team in sacks the whole year.
Yeah.
That's how bad we were in sacks.
That's fair. But yeah,
But
overall, first night, great night. Justin
Fun.
Fields is a Bear. Thank you. Thank you, God, for that.
That was
Thank you, Ryan Pace, for not screwing the pooch. Let's go get ourselves an offensive tackle tonight. Beef up that offensive line, or whoever the best DB is, and we'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah, I love the draft. It's so much fun.
It's a great time.
I don't know.
You don't know what's gonna happen.
I mean, exactly. Like, it's just so much fun. Like, people that don't like the draft, I get. Like, if you're not super into the NFL, you can just be like, look at the draft and like, do you even know who these guys are? Like, no.
I wish I could have went this year just to sit in Roger Goodell's chair, because they brought the chair from his basement.
They brought the chair.
They brought the chair that he got drunk in last year.
That was so funny.
That was just so cool. I want to sit in his chair.
He is something else. Roger Goodell is something else.
I think he takes a few shots before every draft because he goes on. I can't hear you. I thrive on these boos. I think he's probably had a couple at that point. They probably have to breathalyze him before every pick just so we don't have a Steve Harvey moment. Could you imagine if he would have went out and said Mac Jones instead of Justin Fields?
Dude, that'd be
and they would have had to retract it. Like, they probably have to do something to make sure he can go out and make the pick, actually.
Yeah, I wonder if that ever has happened or ever has come close to happening.
Yeah, like how big on the print maybe it might have to be on the card. But yeah, we'll see what happens tonight. We'll see what happens.
I'm pumped. So you're hoping for corner and or tackle?
Yes.
For your first okay.
And then I want whichever we don't get, that's what I want in round 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm hoping Vikings trade up and go get a guard and or quarterback in the second round. I think they like I heard that they really like one of these mid-round guys a lot. Mm-hmm. So I think that they have their eye on somebody. I think that's what they're going to do.
Okay.
Or they're going to trade up and get a guard that they really like. I think that would probably be late second round. Mm-hmm. If they trade up early second round, I think they're going to go get a quarterback.
Okay.
I think they'd have to jump. They'd have to jump the Raiders because I think the Raiders want a quarterback of the future too. Mm-hmm. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
There you go. Offense is going to be the name of the night.
I think so. I mean, we beefed up our defense and free agency. Mm-hmm. Bears have their defense. Now, they had a terrible offense, but they got a good start with a new quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers is hopefully on his way out.
Man, is Allen Robinson? Allen Robinson, he signed the franchise tag, right?
Yeah, he signed it.
So
hopefully he's happy after last night.
I think he might be a little bit happier that he can have somebody accurately throwing him the football.
Yeah, we won't talk about the Buffalo Bills' recent signing. But hey, we'll see what happens tonight. Draft season's here. It's crazy, baby. We love to see it.
And if anything crazy happens,
there'll be another emergency podcast. Yeah,
exactly.
We love to see it.